Hi, everybody. I want to welcome everybody here today. And I think I want to, let's see here. I'm going to make one adjustment. There we go. Okay. All right, Nada, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, fantastic. I'm Mike McDonald. I'm the president of Kidventure Camps, and with me today is Nada Galan. And man, it is just about go time for camp. Obviously, next week we kick off our 32nd season of summer camp, which is amazing. Um, and we're super excited. We are also very busy right now too, but not too busy to provide this live stream. And we felt like it was really important. We added this one in. We don't normally use our last live stream of the season is preparing for summer camp, but we really felt like with the licensing that has been going on, all the changes at the state level, everything that was taking place, we really felt like it was important to talk about what for us is always the most important foundational piece of Kidventure, and that's the safety of our campers and our families and our staff. And so we wanted to present today specifically about that. So we are going to have a conversation about camp safety, specific to the summer of 2026, and specific also to the new licensing requirements for both day camp and overnight camp, which I'm sure that everybody is quite aware has been in the news quite a bit. And so we really want to go through that. And Nada, I know that you've been in the thick of that with licensing since all the changes back in December of 25. And I sort of want to really go over all that with you and share your expertise, your information. We'll talk specifically about day camp. We're going to talk specifically about overnight camp, and then we'll talk about sort of what Kidventure has already been doing, what we continue to do. Um, and in my opinion, camp can never be safe enough, right? I mean, it is the foundation of everything we do. But everybody knows about the tragedy that struck Texas, on the North Fork of the Guadalupe last summer. And, you know, our hearts continue to go out to the many families and the girls there that were lost at Mystic. Um, but what it did is it set in motion for camp to be a safer place for everybody, both in the overnight camp world and in the day camp world, right? And so today we're going to talk about the facts. It's about what changed, what we already do, and what this summer looks like at Kidventure. It's also a great opportunity for any of our families who are on to ask their questions. And so as we go through what we're going to talk about, I want you to feel free to throw any comments in there as you think about them. Don't necessarily wait till the end, or you can wait till the end, and then we'll pull those comments out and share those with everybody so we can do that, right? Um, and once again, I guess Nada, let's talk about generally speaking. Let's talk about safety at camp and how you view and how you organize and plan for that.
Yeah, so what is important to state is safety is not an afterthought for Kidventure. We already had a lot of safety protocols in place. So safety, what it looks like for us is how can we keep our kids having fun, but keeping everybody safe, right? Keeping our staff safe, keeping our kids safe. So this year we've expanded our emergency plans to give specific roles to certain people, including with our background checks. But each camp location has their own emergency action plan, and it is specific to the location. Um, so that's really what has been the biggest change for Kidventure. All these safety procedures have already been in place for a long time here at Kidventure. It's just the action plans have been differentiated between camp location.
Yeah. So I think what I'd like to focus on, let's sort of break this out a little bit, Nada, is let's first talk about day camp specifically. If you could kind of go through, and I know we put, some bullet points up there, but what is sort of maybe different about this year than in past years specific to day camp? If you could talk about that, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, so what's different this year is each camp location has their emergency preparedness coordinator. And this person is who is in charge of notifying the state of emergency and local emergency officials. So in Houston is going to be myself and Jake Strauns. And in Dallas is Nicole Davis. And then in Austin, we have Noel Nowell. So each camp location has their emergency preparedness coordinator. And then for a day camp as well, each director is the person that has the accountability and staff, right? We already did a lot of safety stuff like with counting, but this time it looks a little different. We have to cross reference between group lists, our digital format, and make sure that they match um, in what we're providing for the state. So, what's different is emergency preparedness coordinator, counselors have different roles, right, when it comes to safety. And then if you're at a location that has three programs, discovers, explores, and leads, our leads take on a different roles when it comes to safety, right? Our leads really help us implement those safety procedures, right? If there was an emergency, helping our discoverers walk around, holding hands. So it looks a little different every location because every location has a different program.
Gotcha. Um,
Mhm.
so this year, I know some of the things that were a little bit maybe confusing for us from the day camp level were the implementation of some of the overnight camp requirements in a day camp setting. Can you talk a little bit about that, what that looks like? I know that some places now, even day camps, are in a floodplain, right? And we have to notify parents about that. Talk to us a little bit about that as well.
So, yes, that's correct. So, a lot of the overnight verbiage for emergency action plans is in place for day camps as well. What is different between day camps and overnight camp is that day camps, our kids go home every night. We do not have cabins, so we're kind of exempt from that. What we're not exempt from is letting parents know if a camp location is in a floodplain status. Um, Austin and Dallas, there are perfectly fine. In Houston, half of our locations are in floodplains, and you will get notified every Thursday via newsletter and via email and to sign an acknowledgement. It does state in your acknowledgement that we are exempt from any of the requirements of floodplains, so cabins, because our kids go home every day to their parents. But we still have to notify families, and you will receive a waiver via DocuSign.
Gotcha. Good. Any other things that are different this year from previous years at the day camp level?
Yeah, so different is we have to implement drills. Some camp locations we are with the school's drill schedule. So if we're at a school or a rec center, we kind of have drills as the facility is hosting them. What is different this year is we're having to have drills every week. So one drill is a fire drill, and the other drill is a shelter in place for weather. Um, so they'll kind of be implemented every week. They're on an alternate schedule. All of our staff is going to be trained on fire drill and shelter in place this next couple of days. We have the biggest training for the year. And then they will also be trained what we call on-site training. That's where they go to their specific camp location and train set up for camp. But they will know about muster zones, where to evacuate depending where route they're in. And then every Monday after opening ceremonies, we'll talk to our campers about what's going to happen. We're going to have a drill throughout the day, just so they're aware as well. We don't want no campers to be unaware. And then we'll post a fire drill or a shelter in place drill every Monday. And we will let parents know via app what's going on.
Very good. Okay. Background checks, that's been clarified, correct?
Yes, so background checks, we hope have background checks for anybody that enters our facilities. That is staff, directors, KV Lives, special vendors, our field trips as well, our bus company, they have to have background checks as well.
Yep. Now that's something we've
So
been
that's
doing prior to this year, correct, Native?
yeah, that's not any different for Kidventure. We've always been doing this.
Yeah.
So not new to Kidventure.
Okay. Anything else you want to add about the day camp that's different this year than has been in the past?
Yeah, I mean, really, the biggest difference is that each camp location has its own emergency action plan. So pay attention to your newsletter, it will be linked on there. And each facility has their own muster zone. So if you want to know an offsite evacuation, so if for whatever reason we need to leave our muster zones and go to an offsite evacuation, the emergency action plan has that in there.
Hmm.
So you can look that up. So, if there's a notification that we sent out, you will know exactly where to find us.
Great.
Mhm.
And we'll communicate all this in the weekly newsletters to parents, right? They'll have all that information accessible to them as well. They can go to the website too as well and find all of our safety.
Correct. And you can
And then,
also,
yeah,
yeah,
go
you
ahead.
can also call the office. If you can't find it in newsletters for
Hmm.
whatever reason, you can call our office. We will provide that for you as well.
Hmm. And also on the website too is a link to the DSHS emergency plan. All their updates are on there. So we've linked everybody to the state's webpage as well. So okay, so thank you very much, Nada, for sort of clarifying all those points right there. Let's talk a little bit about overnight camp. Um, so our overnight camp program takes place at Camp Eagle, which is on the Nueces River. We had campers up last summer during the flooding that took place in the hill country. We did not experience any flooding there, but for obvious reasons, the state has bolstered and revamped the licensing requirements for all of the overnight camps as well as the day camp programs. Floodplain and floodway evacuation procedures must be documented in the emergency plan. So they too have their own unique emergency plan. Mustering practice is part of each camp session. So just like day camp, we will muster our kids the first day of camp when they arrive. Everyone will know that plan. The floodplain map required with emergency plan regardless of cabin elevation. So there has to be submitted. So Camp Eagle had to submit a floodplain map, regardless of where the elevation of the cabins were. Also, broadband internet required for emergency communications, satellite and cellular explicitly accepted through March 1st of 2027 under the current DSHS agreement. You might have heard in the news that fiber optics was one of the things originally required by the state to piggyback on top of their other system. That posed a big challenge for a lot of camps. Most camps in Texas are in rural parts of the state where fiber optics are not even an option. So they went back to the drawing board on that and reworked that part of the licensing requirement. Emergency plans must specifically address weather and flooding scenarios. Um, Obvious. Now, for us, we kind of have a unique situation at Camp Eagle. We sit only a quarter mile from the headwaters on the Nueces River, which means there is limited water that can come down from upstream. Every cabin that we use is above the 100-year floodplain. We do have a state provided weather station on the Camp Eagle property. That improves alert accuracy for our specific location. Radio communications at all times with all staff and Eagle staff is sort of the standard for us and has sort of always been that. And our internet connectivity meets the DSHS broadband standard under the current agreement. Once again, all of this information for overnight camp and day camp, can be found at the website, at Kidventure's website there. Anything else about overnight, Nada, that maybe I didn't cover there?
Yeah, no, I think you got it. Also for day camp and overnight, each camp location has to have a weather alert radio, and it has to be
Mhm.
88 approved. So as far as alert systems, we're all in place for overnight and day camp.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. Um, I wanted to go through these just some of the sort of policies and pieces that we've had at Kidventure that I think are still very valid to bring up right now. These are not new policies and how we've sort of operated since 1994. We have, I think, one of the big levers when it comes to providing a foundation for safety at any camp program has to do with the quality of the staff, right? How well they're trained up, and I think the ratios with which they operate under. And for us, those have always been very low. 1 to 7 for our discoverers, 1 to 10 for our explorers, and 1 to 12 for our leads programs. Um, all of our staff, irregardless, um, has mandatory CPR and first aid certification, and that has to be current for everybody, not just the director. Um, all of our staff go through mandatory state-approved sexual abuse prevention certification. All of them have criminal background checks for every team member, and I guess I emphasize that twice because it's there twice. I think it's real important. And I think maybe I talk about this a little bit more in the staff right here. I think having an action plan is necessary for any summer campsite, whether that's a day or an overnight camp program. Having a very knowledgeable, trained, and well-trained staff to implement that emergency plan, I think, is just important, if not more important. And I think that that's one of the things I think about Kidventure that I feel really strongly about is the quality of that staff member. I mean, the majority of our staff on the front line are teachers, they are college education majors. They're very plugged in the lives of kids. I mean, that's who we want working with our kids. They're there because they really genuinely want to be there, and I think that's really important. And I can't underplay that enough. Um, uh, they are
I
trained
think
in the
it,
Kidventure. Go ahead.
I think another thing to point with your fourth bullet for our staff members is they do go through a very lengthy application process. If you talk to any of our staff members, from the time that they apply, the time they interview, um, it's a very long process, and it's on purpose. That system is on purpose. We want to vet the people that are around our kids and our staff in general.
Yep.
So the application process itself, interviewing minimum 30 minutes interview, it typically goes between 30 to an hour, and then reference check. We always do reference checks. We contact past employers,
Mm.
past teachers, because the people that we want working with our kids, it is important. So application process for all programs, overnight, day camp, no matter the position, is quite lengthy, and it's on purpose.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say and proud to say that we are fully staffed and hired for the summer, which is important because what that means for our families and our campers is that they'll get the full breadth of the training program prior to the summer starting, as opposed to continually bringing on new people during the summertime and trying to catch them up. And I think that's real important for parents to understand. We are in the midst right now of our training seasons. We've already trained managers, then we trained our camp directors, and now all this week is what we call counselor conference, where all of that front line, that all the counselors with all the directors and all the managers get trained up over the course of the next 3 or 4 days. And they participate in the things that you would automatically think about, right? Curriculum and safety. But we also have behavioral management, special needs, customer service training. And they're ready to go when camp starts, and in this case, on June 1st. Once again, all of them certified, background checked, first aid, CPR, sexual abuse prevention. You will always know a Kidventure staff member because they are always in a uniform. Um, they have a specific uniform. They have a big name badge with their name on it. What you don't see behind that name badge is a list of their campers in their small group that has already been assigned to them with any special needs or allergies on there so that they know those kids. Meaning, we're not assigning kids to our counselors in the moment on a Monday. They've already been done before so that they can prep and ready themselves for those kids. We think that's the best way from a safety standpoint. Um, Anything else about the staff, Nada, that maybe I left out?
Yeah, so our staff is really trained on, their group lists, the schedules, just to know where everybody's at. So this year, what's a little different, but every camp counselor will have a schedule for every group. And again, it's that safety piece, right? If something happens, we know where each group is at every time. Of course, our camp director is very on the ground and moving around the camp facility. But if our camp director is not available for whatever reason,
Yep.
Every camp counselor knows where each group is at every
And
single
I and
time.
I and I think to add to that too, which I think is really important, and a lot of parents might not know this, our campsites, when I'm talking about day camps right now, don't act as an island. Meaning we don't drop off all the supplies and then they have the staff show up and then they operate alone. We have a support system which is constantly, for example, camp managers are rotating between 2 or 3 campsites continuously to check on those camps, to provide quality checks, to hotshot any problems that they might have or challenges they might have, to evaluate how camp is going. So there's a whole support network that's taking place outside of the actual camp that helps oversee that safety piece and bolster that opportunity for us to provide the most safe and quality based program, right? And I don't know if parents necessarily know that, Nada, but it's certainly something that really helps our camps operate efficiently and optimally as well. Okay, so I want to move on. Um, this is what this summer is going to look like. The new state requirements, sort of putting everything together, will be fully implemented. That's both House Bill 1 and SB 1 compliance in place across all Kidventure programs for the 2026 season. Kidventure is Kidventure has been awarded their licenses. Those started coming in this week, and so I know particularly in the news because I was on Channel 11 and Channel 13 talking about this a couple weeks ago. At the time, I think only 14 camps had received their licenses. I think Kidventure more than doubled that number last week when we threw in our 26 camps across the state. So yes, we are a licensed program for 26. Um, QR check-in and check-out protocols with Kidventure are fully implemented, but they have been for the last 2 years now. What that means is that the way that you are check in your camper and check out your camper is through that Kidventure app, right? It creates a unique camper QR code. So you just hold that phone outside of your car window and we'll scan that and that will check in your child or check out your child from camp. So that is mandatory. If you have not downloaded your Kidventure app, please do so from Google Play or the Apple Store. We're licensed and emergency plans are on file and current. So all that is good to go. And we have, once again, a communication commitment. If something happens, we reach out to you immediately. Child safety confirmed first. Then we tell you what occurred, what we did, and what comes next, whether that is day camp or that is overnight camp program. We have a variety of ways to reach out to you through the app, through our notifications, through email, and through phone as well too. And so we will utilize any and all of those where we deem necessary. Um, Anything else with that, Nada?
Yeah, I do want everybody to know that the emergency plans are current. It's something that was new this year for licensing, even our returning camp locations. We had to do what's called a pre-inspection. That's something that we've never had to do before, but essentially we had to show the inspectors our muster zones, offsite evacuation, evaluate the facility if it's safe for our site. Um, so the emergency plan is not a bunch of fluff, is accurate to the camp location, and that is very important when it comes to safety. Um, in Houston, we had to travel to all 14 locations, and same in Dallas and Austin had to travel everywhere with the state inspector to make sure that we were in compliance and we were doing everything impossible to keep our campers safe.
Yeah, it's a great point. Thank you. Um, in the event that we have an emergency, whether that's weather related or whatever, we'll communicate immediately and directly. You will not have to wait to hear from us. Um, Child safety is first and foremost, and that will be confirmed first every time. Um, we will be extremely transparent with you. We will tell you exactly what happened, what we did, and what comes next. There will be no ambiguity, and no runaround, um, and no minimizing. Just the facts, and we follow through. I think one of the things that we have to our advantage is 32 years of experience running summer camp. With that comes systems every summer that get refined, that get tweaked. We simply just layered on the new systems and the new updates with regards to licensing to an already pretty bolstered and sound summer safety protocol, if you will. And we feel very confident in that. Um, all right, and with that, I want to give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. Now we are recording this because I know a lot of people don't have the opportunity to see this, and so we'll keep this up on the website and it'll be on our YouTube page as well. I know we have a couple questions, and I'll bring those over. Um, was Kidventure Overnight Camp able to get licensing with the new regulations in Texas? I know many camps have struggled with the new regulations. Yeah, we did. Thanks in great part to NADA traveling to every campsite to meet with our licensing reps and do all the detailed work. But yes, Kidventure is a licensed camp program. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, even if a site doesn't have their license, NADA, they're able to open up on June 1 given certain parameters. Am I right about that?
Yeah, so we would still be an operating camp. As you guys can assume, is the state is backed up with a bunch of camps. We can reassure you that the emergency plans are approved. With that, it comes a backlog of approved, like license getting sent out. Slowly through since last year to now, not last year, since last 2 weeks to now, we've been receiving our licenses in scattered form. More than half of our camp locations are licensed. Particular to overnight, Camp Eagle is fully licensed.
Yep. Um, it's interesting what's happened this year. Some programs lowered their hours under 4 hours a day to skirt the licensing thing. So heads up to parents, maybe who have other camp programs. If you notice that um, the camp that you normally go to has lowered their hours, maybe just under 4 hours a day, it's probably because they're trying to get around the licensing um, restrictions, or not restrictions, but the licensing challenges, if you will, for this year. So a little heads up to parents when it comes to that. I would maybe question that. But yes, Kidventure has we've gone through all of our stuff. They're doing I think for the first year we're getting our licenses digitally as a phone to paper form right now so that they can get those out quicker to camps. But yes, great question and thank you very much. I know that was on the top of the mind for a lot of parents. For the overnight camp, what is the policy for contacting parents for serious illness or injury, and how close are the nearest medical facilities to camp? Great question. For overnight camp, look, we kind of take a conservative view on illness and injury. We would rather reach out to you early on in that process. We're not going to reach out to you if we have to put a band-aid on a knee, right? Or something like that. But if I have a child that's running a fever, they're sick, they're nauseated, something's going on, we're going to reach out to you. It just, 9 times out of 10, you can shed more light on that situation for us. We have a camp nurse there that's there 24/7. If we go visit that nurse, we'll wrap you up in that discussion, right? Anytime we're going to go past our first aid abilities, we're going to involve you in that process and let you know. Yeah, and closest medical facilities are going to be about 25 minutes from Eagle. Um, and we've used them before. I mean, whether it was like a kid that had fever or whatever we needed or whatever it was, we have an action plan in place um, from driving a kid there to helivacing out. I mean, we all of those are in place for the safety of our campers, and so yeah. But
And
go ahead.
there is an on-site vehicle at overnight that stays there the whole time. So if we need to get a camper to emergency facilities, we will. The other thing to note is we do have bus contracts that allow us 24-hour dispatch. if anything happens. So if we need to pull our kids for whatever reason, we'll send the bus company to go pick them up, including in day camp, right? If there's an emergency at day camp where we need to pull our kids, we have that contact with Star Shuttle and Avalon Motor Coaches in place.
Yep. Great point. Thank you for that. I hope I answered that for you, Kate. But yes. Um, any other questions, you guys? If feel free to jot those down in any of the comments if you have those. I did put the email and phone numbers down below, um, in case you need to reach out to us. I know I've said this a million times, but I'll reiterate it. We try to provide um, the kind of customer service that exceeds your expectations, and one way we do that is being very available to you. Okay. You can always call us, you can always email us. If you can't get us, we're always going to get back with you that same day, even in the heat of summer camp like it is right now this week and will be next week. We will make sure that we have plenty of customer service personnel on board to answer your questions and help you out with that. Look, I've said this once and I'll say it again. Um, I think camp has never been needed more than it is now, right? I think camp is this powerful opportunity for kids to, man, I mean, create friendships, develop a greater sense of self-esteem and self-worth, to do all these things that I think kids are missing out on maybe today. But camp, first and foremost, has to have a foundation of safety at the heart of everything that we do. That provides us with the platform with which to do all the fun, crazy, wild stuff that we do in camp so that we can get your kid to be more confident, to develop more friendships, to have a great time, and create memories that will last a lifetime. But first and foremost is the safety of everything we do. And rest assured, for 32 years, that has been our number one objective. The state's requirements this year have only exceeded that and bolstered that more, both in the day camp and in the overnight camp arena. So I'm thankful for that. My guess is, having worked with the state for a long time, that a lot of these things will work themselves out over the course of this year too, and it will get better next year. And it will be more refined. There'll be more distinction between what a day camp and an overnight camp is as well. And that's part of the process, when things come down from Austin, and it gets worked out in camp, it'll get refined and it'll get bettered. But we're looking forward to that, and any opportunity once again for us to make camp a safer place for your kids, I'm totally down with. So anyway, Nada, anything else?
Yeah, we're excited to open our camp doors next week. I mean, we're a little busy with training, but it is on purpose, right? Getting our counselors trained for to provide better and safe service for your kids. So we're super excited for next week. I know a lot of school districts already ended and they're kind of hanging at home waiting for camp. So if you still haven't registered for more weeks, call our office. We'll get you registered. And if you were just waiting to see if Kidventure was licensed, we are. And know that all safety procedures are set in stone for us. Well, set in
Yep.
stone for now.
Yeah, I really appreciate those of y'all who joined us today. Once again, this will be recorded. We'll put it up on the website, and it'll also be on our YouTube page, I think LinkedIn as well, maybe. So if you have anything else, you have follow-up questions about your child or about anything, please let us know. We look forward to seeing everybody beginning on Monday, June 1st. Anyway, all my best to all my families out there. Y'all take care. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.